Hello everyone and welcome back to the Very Cold Lasagna podcast, your place for all those filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I am your host, DylanLasagna, and this is episode number 201 of this icy yet spicy sports podcast. And in this episode, we are back with another late and out-of-date WWE pay-per-view, and that's not a retro review, it's a modern WWE pay-per-view review in the year of 2024, as we're here to talk about this past weekend's WWE Clash at the Castle in Scotland event. So they had a pay-per-view this weekend overseas. Once again, another international pay-per-view, or as the cool kids like to say, PLE, Premium Live Event, over in Glasgow, Scotland. And yeah, initially I wasn't planning on reviewing this pay-per-view or doing a podcast on it in general, but there was a match too I had an interest, and you know what? I was watching the whole thing, and I might as well just do an episode on it because it kind of piqued my interest. I just like, we went along with it, and you know what? Screw it, screw it. We're just gonna do an episode on this. So anyway, we're here to talk about Clash at the Castle 2024 in this episode. Once again, a late, out of date review of it before Monday Night Raw that's coming up. And yeah, give me my thoughts on this pay-per-view. That being said, make sure to strap in, saddle back, and make sure to share this to friends, share this to your neighbors, share this with a stranger, and spread the word of mouth about Very Cold Lasagna and this podcast. Make sure you follow the show on social media, on X and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And if you're listening to this on audio platforms, wherever you get Very Cold Lasagna, make sure to rate and review the show, whether it's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Rate and review the show 1 to 5 stars. And like I said, spread the word. Just spread the word about my filthy casual takes about this show. That being said, let's talk about WWE Clash at the Castle 2024. Some of you may remember me reviewing the first Clash at the Castle event in September of 2022 in a little like extra quick review on the YouTube channel. But anyway, they had that event in Cardiff, Wales, in the United Kingdom at Principality Stadium, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But anyway, nearly 2 years later after that event, WWE later announced this past April that a second edition of Clash at the Castle would be held on June 15th. So this past weekend was going to be held this time in Glasgow, Scotland, at the Ovo Hydro. It's an arena in Glasgow. So this is going to be WWE's first ever pay-per-view event to be held in the country of Scotland. And then the night before, they had the go-home episode of SmackDown. So one last chance to get the pay-per-view hype, whether you were in the arena or watching like well before here in the United States, especially here in California. You got those spoilers. But anyway, yeah, the last pay-per-view before Clash of the Castle 2024. Now, would it stack up to the 2022 edition? I mean, that remains to be seen. It's kind of like, I don't know if I'd say comparing apples to oranges per se, because one's held in a stadium, one's held in an arena. You be the judge. You be the judge. But you did have almost the same amount of matches, around 5 to 6 matches on both of these cards. But in terms of the 2024 edition, 5 matches were set for the show. No pre-show match per se. But the big comparison, the big similarity with these two shows was that the main event was going to be centered around a certain Scottish warrior who was hoping to finally get his proper crowning moment after the first go around in his home area, which the first time around was Cardiff. He got robbed, and then 2 months prior, back at WrestleMania, he got robbed as well. So now that he's on his actual home turf, he was hoping that he was going to get that one shining moment, that proper shining moment. I don't know what else to say, but anyway, he was hoping to get that proper crowning moment in front of his family, his friends, the whole entire country rallying behind him after getting robbed on 2 occasions, on 2 actual occasions in the last 2 years. So before we get to that part, before we get to that certain Scottish warrior and whether he could accomplish that feat, there are 4 matches that we have to go through in this event. Starting with the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes defending his WWE title against AJ Styles in an I Quit match. Now, I've had my thoughts on Cody Rhodes' WWE Championship reign so far, and if you haven't seen my thoughts on it, after this episode, go to the YouTube channel and look at the Cody Rhodes video and says, has it been very lackluster so far? In essence, well, I'll let you be the judge. But anyway, the main emphasis of this match is that, well, AJ has been asking for a rematch after Cody Rhodes had dispatched Logan Paul, and then you have AJ going around asking Nick Aldis for a WWE title rematch, but he declined. So AJ got desperate. He decided to pull a Mark Henry. He decided to fake retire in order to force Cody into giving him a rematch, and Cody would give him such because he's a dumbass for falling for it. And let me say this about the fake retirement angle first. I mean, it was okay. It was nothing. It was meh. It was meh because we've already seen something actually more cooler, more genuine with the Mark Henry one and John Cena like more than a decade ago. Because I personally like that one better, but everyone has their preferences. So it is what it is. But anyway, Cody, then the week after that, he would give him such. And then he promised to beat him so bad that it would make him quit. So basically, you got an I Quit match. The first I Quit match since Extreme Rules 2022. So a little bit over literally 2 years since the first I Quit, since the last I Quit match. First, second, third, I don't know. Stumbling on that, those factoids. But anyway, this match, I gotta admit, for someone that didn't really pay attention to all the nits and crickets of it, I gotta say, this was actually this was a pretty good match. It started off really slow though, because they didn't do a whole lot. They were just like doing a lot of regular normal stuff. I mean, sure, they went all over the place. I'll give them that too. To start off the match, they started off in the ring, and then they made their way through the crowd, and they didn't even went to backstage. They fought a little bit backstage, and then even went into the production area where the producers are, what's called gorilla position. So that was very nice to do. And then they made their way back into the arena. A lot of brawling around the Oval Hydra. And then midway through this match, Cody Rhodes shed blood. Yeah, that was a little surprising. Like they actually did that, and I thought it made for it upped the intensity of this match. It really upped the intensity of this match. Like AJ ramming Cody's head into the ring bell, and I was like, oh, is this just gonna be like one of those? Oh, Cody just got knocked out. And then AJ's just going to try to revive him or something. But no, Cody actually got busted open. I'm like, wow. They're actually implementing blood for once. Like, even if it's like a blade job, I gotta give it to them. They really tried to sell it. And it was all right. It was all right. So a lot of this match was centered around AJ dominating this match, torturing Cody as much as he can, like whipping him with the kendo stick and his leather belt, and then crushing Cody's throat with a steel chair, passing him out with the STF. But then, of course, Super Cody wouldn't quit. So AJ, once again, more desperate to try and make Cody say the words, "I quit." So AJ still couldn't get it through his head that Cody is Super Cena. He has that Super Cena hort inside of him. So, to further beat him down, AJ would handcuff Cody. So, flashbacks to Breaking Point 2009, the handcuffs there, pal. But anyway, AJ would handcuff Cody and beat him down some more. And then he saw a familiar figure in the crowd. Mama Rhodes. Yeah, Cody's mama was in the crowd. And AJ was like, he was going to go to taunt Mama Rhodes that he was going to beat up his son so bad. He was going to whoop his ass, make him quit. And then Mama Rhodes actually got physical with AJ. He slapped him not once, but twice, but 3 times. 3 times. And AJ got so caught up in all that Cody would actually get back in the fight. AJ was trying to go for the phenomenal forearm with the chain wrapped around his elbow, but then he got a chair thrown into him, and he landed through a table, which also got him busted open. And of course, AJ's dumbass forgot to throw away the key, because that's what most heels would do. I don't know why AJ didn't throw away the key when he first handcuffed Cody, but nonetheless, he forgot to throw away the key. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the logic was in not throwing away the key, and that allowed Cody to uncuff himself. So AJ said some blood. Then it was his turn to suffer the beating of Cody Rhodes. He suffered a brutal beatdown with the chair, and he got handcuffed to the ropes. He suffered the Crossroads trifecta, and then, yeah, like I said, he got beat down with the chair, and then Cody Rhodes was about to finish off AJ Styles. He was gonna behead him with the steel steps, and Cody Rhodes was lifting up the steel steps. He was ready to rip his head off, but then AJ Styles was like, no, I quit. It's like, spare my life. And then that's how Cody Rhodes wins the match. So we weren't gonna witness you know what? I probably can't say the word because, YouTube, for my YouTube watchers out there. But anyway, yeah, that's how Cody Rhodes wins the match, and he still smashes AJ with the steel steps anyway after. I gotta admit, this again, this was a pretty good match, despite having a really slow start to it. That didn't evolve a whole lot, but once it got to the midway point, it steadily picked up. When Cody started bleeding, and then AJ brutally beating him down in front of his mama. And then, Mama Rhodes trying to cheer him on. I do wish, though, that AJ would do something to try and force Cody's hand. Like AJ trying to do something on Cody's mom to try and force Cody to quit. I wish they were trying to do something on that, like maybe try to joke with the kendo stick or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe it's too PC, too PC, or something like that. We can't do that. We can't show that to. It's not sponsor friendly, pal. But anyway, I didn't expect AJ to win this anyway. But he did his role very well as a ruthless asshole that was going to be desperate to win that title in front of Cody's mom. But nonetheless, this and what was to come post-match, I think it was exactly what Cody needed, because his title reign was getting pretty stale. I know, I get it. It's been only 2 months, but it's kind of fair to say. It was kind of fair to say that Cody, prior to this match, there was nothing going on during this title reign. Not a lot of story build up, not a lot of progression of his character. It's pretty much the same song and dance. But after this, you got to build on this. This was this is a pretty good match that these two had, and probably, clear above and beyond the best Cody match of his title run. Now you just got to build on that. Build Cody from beyond this, what do you want to talk about gimmick. So post-match, Cody was standing tall. He posed with the title, or he at least was about to. But then out came walking Fat Weekend. Fat Weekend cosplayer Solo Sikoa. And he was, sarcastically golf clapping for Cody. And he made it clear that, he wants next. Really? 1 in 41, Solo Sikoa wants to challenge Cody. Really? Hashtag not my tribal chief. Why? But anyway, that set up an attack for Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to attack Cody from behind. So, make a wish, not make a wish. Dollar Store Bloodline beat down Cody before Randy Orton and Kevin Owens come out to make the save, and yeah, that pretty much ends the opening match. And perhaps maybe we get a 6-man tag at Money in the Bank before we set up either a one-on-one match with Solo and Cody, or maybe, just maybe, a certain Nightmare versus Viper matchup at SummerSlam. Although I do personally think that's a little too early for that. Maybe some more down the line, but either way, I do think that we're gonna get. In my opinion, we might just get a 6-man tag between these two teams and Money in the Bank in 2.5 weeks. But we'll see what happens on SmackDown. And one more thing before we get to the next match we're gonna talk about. Can I just say how much of these international crowds I'm starting to get annoyed by? I mean, it's one thing to have fun and all that. I mean, I get it. You spent your hard-earned money to go out there and spend the time of your life and do as you please at these shows. I mean, I get it. I mean, every time I go to these shows, whether it's locally, when WWE brings them here, whether it's hopefully they finally bring a pay-per-view here for once, or if I have to fly out to somewhere like WrestleMania in Los Angeles or something, or like a SummerSlam or something. Like, I get it. Like, you want to have the time of your life. But if you're just doing stupid shit, if you're just chanting like songs and stupid catchphrases just for the sake of it, it makes you look really stupid. It makes you look really dumb. You're just hijacking the show at this point. You're acting like the Raw. It's like a Raw after Mania crowd, and it's not funny. It's really not funny. Like, for example, like the crowd was singing like, "Oh, Cody Rhodes," like during the ring introductions that Samantha Irvin was trying to do, and it's like, dude, guys, shut the fuck up. It's like this. Do you hear this happening during a boxing match, like overseas? I mean, maybe I haven't seen it, but when I've seen some boxing matches I've seen, I don't hear that. Like, these people actually respect what, let's say, Michael or Bruce Buffer is trying to say. Like, but these wrestling fans outside of the United States, like, no, they're just like, oh, let's make this shit about ourselves. Whoa, let's make this shit about ourselves. And I'm not saying you guys can't have fun. It's just like, guys, stop trying to hijack the show. Stop trying to make it about yourselves. Because it really isn't. It really isn't. So anyway, moving on to our next matchup, we had the women's tag team titles on the line as Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defended it against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn of the Unholy Union and Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. There really isn't much to talk about with this matchup, especially when you talk about the lead up to it, because it was pretty much set up from a whim, because Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, they earned a tag team title match against Bianca and Jade in a fatal four-way tag team match like a couple weeks prior, and then they had their tag team title match 2 weeks later on Raw, but that ended in a disqualification when Alba Fire and Isla Dawn attacked the champions, and then you had Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark also joining in for a 4-on-2 beatdown. So Bianca and Jade, they get payback on both of them, and they were granted their request for some reason of a 3-way tag team title match against the two teams. So I guess they just basically want to beat up both of them. So there you go. So all I'll say is, like, this match is basically set up because of the Scottish team of Fire and Dawn going back to their home country to be featured in this match. But I'm not going to be too hard on them because there was a certain thing that I'm going to talk about, which, you know, I'm not going to go way too hard on. But we'll talk about that in a little bit because we have to talk about this match first. So Bianca Jade, as expected, they dominated more than half of this match. Their athleticism and power, I mean, look at them. They're basically strong as hell. And especially Jade, she continues to look better and better in these matches. And in this match, she got more time to shine than Bianca did. She even did this crazy feat of strength with a Samoan drop fallaway slam on, I'm not sure if it was Shayna, Zoe. And then she also had either Alba Fire or Isla Dawn on them for the fallaway. But either way, continues to show her amazing feat of strength with these with these moves. So everything was going fine for Jade in this match. But then, oh man, the hot tag towards the end of the match. It's like, that was hard to watch. That's like, aside from the botchiness of this match, like, the hot tag was the crapper of it all. So Bianca reached for Jade for their hot tag, but then Jade slipped off the top rope and she botched her springboard move. The one that she executed fine, both at King and Queen of the Ring and Backlash. And oh man, it was rough, and it took the life out of the match. It really did, because I feel like she lost her confidence in doing her signature offense, and she just looked gutted, man. And I kind of feel bad for her. I know people were giving her crap and all that, but then when you hear the things about, when you see that clip, the match prior, about the ropes being loose, it was rough. It was real rough. It was really rough to watch. And my first reaction when I saw that, I was like, no. After all that after as much rave and praise I was about to give, it's like, oh, no, Jade, no. But again, these mistakes happen. I just hope that they clean it up, and I just hope Jade continues to keep it up, man. Jade just has to keep cleaning it up. And sometimes, she can go a little too fast. So, just breathe, relieve, calm down. So aside from that, this match was masked up by some decent teamwork from all three teams. But man, that hot tag really derailed the momentum of this match. Like, really went like downhill, like in rapid fire. And then even worse than that, it's like Shayna locked in the Kirifuda clutch on Jade, and she tapped out on camera. And I'm not sure, like, there have been debates about whether Shayna locked it in too tight or Jade actually legit tapped out. But like, you can't be doing that. You can't be tapping out like right then and there with the whole world watching. And you even had Michael Cole and Corey Graves calling it out. It's like, was that a tap out? Was that a tap out by Jade? Oh man. It's like, this match was like a severe mess. It was like so bad. Like, and again, it's not all on Jade, because Bianca was also not all on point either. Because, for example, she hit a 450 splash, but it was pretty off target. So she saved the match, but once Jade and Bianca hit their tag team finisher on Shayna, Jade was suplexed out of the ring by Isla Dawn, and she stole the victory and the titles in their home country. So that ended this mess of a match. But hey, despite, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn being the home country favorites, getting the home crowd support, Jade and Bianca, they still had the crowd in much of their favor. And I guess it goes to show you that, I'm not going to say that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, they shouldn't have won this match. They shouldn't have gotten it, because, again, I'm not going to be too hard on the title change, because, it was clear that they got it for a home country pop. But, however, this was a good moment for them, because they finally got the titles, and Alba got a really nice moment, especially considering that she recently lost her mother. Her mother passed away in a car accident, so my prayers go out to her. So that's really rough. But anyway, it's just that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn haven't been featured a lot on TV, like, in the last year, especially after dropping it to Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, which is kind of like payback for them. it's kind of like retribution for Fire and Dawn in a sense, because in that unification match, they lost it unceremoniously to Ronda and Shayna. And then you just had that undisputed tag team title match a couple weeks later with Liv and Raquel. But anyway, so a year later, you get a payback. So either way, yeah, they weren't really featured a whole lot on TV. And yeah, you just suddenly strap it on them. So you got a lot of work to do with them. So either they're going to keep the titles for a little while, but you got to do a lot of work with them, or Jade and Bianca are going to get those very quickly. But as for Jade and Bianca, if they don't get it quick back in their rematch, they're probably on a collision course to break up for a match against each other. If that's the case, then oh man, Jade better be ready for becoming a singles competitor, because yeah, this was not her best match, like by far. And honestly, I'm kind of not ready for their team to break up, because despite this bad match, I've actually been liking this team. And I saw some people say, oh, but Bianca's a better star on her own. Bianca should be at the top of the division. She should be facing Rhea at WrestleMania next year. Like, that's kind of bullcrap for that last part. But I will say, this has been a breath of fresh air for Bianca. It's kind of been helping her too, evolve a little bit. Besides being, oh, I'm the EST of WWE. I'm at the top of my game. So, yeah, it's helped Bianca evolve a little bit more than just being, a typical top girl. So by being with Jade, she's more than she's at least trying to be a little bit more than that. I'll give her that. So, and it's also, she's kind of like in that mentor role with by being partnered with Jade. So and they actually do well. They actually do kind of well together as a tag team. So I'm kind of not ready for that. I'm kind of not ready for them to break up just yet. It's also a little too early for them to lose those titles. I'm not saying, oh, let's have them drop it like to some random team like down the line, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Either way, it's just kind of weird that they dropped it like now. But anyway, maybe they do get it back, and then they eventually drop it like closer to the end of the year. Either way, I feel like it's too soon for them to be feuding with each other. So maybe they just stick with the team for now, but I don't know. Either way, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are your new tag team champions, and that is that. Next up, we had the Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn take on Chad Gable, and this feud has been boiling for quite some time now. It's been a 2-month-long feud, and yeah, it's featured a fever pitch after King and Queen in the ring. Sami Zayn, after he retained his title after that event, he stopped Gable from giving the discipline on his Alpha Academy member, Otis. He was about to whoop that ass, Chad Gable that was, for not following his instructions at Night of Champions, King and Queen in the ring. And then Sami Zayn stopped it, but then he got left lying on his back in the ensuing brawl. So over the next few weeks, you had Sami Zayn asking the rest of the Alpha Academy to finally put their foot down. He asked them, like, when is enough going to be enough for y'all? And then he just pretty much recap his own experiences with the bloodline and his own abuse. So instead, he agreed with another Intercontinental Championship challenge via a letter that was read by Maxine Dupree. Sami Zayn accepted it, and here we are. So going into this match, this is basically going to be all about, was he or wasn't he? Was Otis finally going to pull the trigger and finally snap on his mentor, Chad Gable? So pretty much this match, it was all right. Not as good as from a wrestling standpoint, not as good as the first matchup they had back in Montreal. But from a storyline standpoint, it was, I don't know. It was good, but I feel like they should have done something. They should have done something with the story. So some of my things about this match, Chad Gable was clearly out wrestling Sami Zayn in this match, but he couldn't get Sami Zayn the break. he couldn't make Sami Zayn tap out. So he decided to once again use the Alpha Academy that was at ringside to help him win this match. So first he used a crippled Maxine Dupree as a distraction device, but she refused to hit Sammy with the Intercontinental Championship. So the one-footed because she had a walking boot on her. So the walking boot Maxine Dupree had to go up on the apron and hear it from Chad Gable. And then Sami Zayn was about to hit the Helluva Kick, but he nearly hit Maxine Dupree, so he stopped in his tracks. And yeah, that allowed Gable to hit the Chaos Theory, but for a 2. So then he called upon Otis. Otis, who had been the victim of Chad Gable's abuse for the longest time. And then Gable got out of the way for a top rope suicida from Sami Zayn, and that's when things really fell apart for the Alpha Academy. He put Otis into harm's way yet again, and he was about to explode. He was about to explode because he refused to hit Sami Zayn while Chad Gable had the referee distracted. Chad Gable had an ankle lock onto Sami Zayn, but he whipped Chad Gable into Maxine's injured ankle. But then you saw Otis tending to Maxine on the ground, but he didn't know that Sami Zayn caused that whip into Gable, a whip on Gable into Maxine. And Otis was pissed. He was so mad. He was about to snap onto Chad Gable. But remember, DQ rules. So Otis, he was about to explode. And he kept his temper. He carried Maxine to the back. And Sammy once again used the distraction that Chad Gable kind of provided, and so did Otis. He hit Gable with the Helluva Kick to keep his Intercontinental Championship. So yeah, some kind of good storytelling, and I say kind of good because again, I kind of felt that they should have done something with this storyline, because if you really want to think about it, I feel like they should have done the turn. I feel like they should have finally had Otis snap. They should have had Otis snap on Chad Gable, had him choke him out or something, and then I don't know, somewhere along the way, like during that, like with the referee down or something, he accidentally cost Sami Zayn the Intercontinental Championship, like by accident, and then Chad Gable, I don't know, wins it. He wins it or something. And then you dispose of Otis on Monday night. So then you send up the long road to SummerSlam with Gable and Otis for the Intercontinental Championship. So I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to think about, because I know that the ultimate destination is Gable versus Otis, but I don't know. At what point, with Chad Gable now having lost his 5th Intercontinental Championship match in the last 8 months, or what, 9, 10 now? At what point does so much losing start hurting his credibility to the eyes of the filthy casual wrestling fan? And even to the story, because Chad Gable's story is that he desperately wants that Intercontinental Championship. In his words, by any means necessary. But if he keeps losing this many major matches, it's like, are people going to really start believing that, oh, he can get the job done? Just look at how I felt with Liv Morgan, for example, like when she came back. It's like she kept losing she lost the Royal Rumble. She lost the Elimination Chamber. She lost that Battle Royale. She lost a key match to Becky Lynch back in March. She was left off WrestleMania. And look at Chad Gable, 5 Intercontinental Championship matches. And we expect him to get a 6th? For Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, for example? I think that's overkill. I really think that's overkill. And I don't know, man. I feel like even if you added in the Creed brothers, I don't know. It could be a case of dragging it a little bit of too little, too late. And I don't know. I feel like it's a problem. It's a key thing with Triple H's kind of booking. And it's a little bit of a problem. If you don't hit on that note, then the landing's not going to stick. If you get what I'm saying. Because if Chad Gable's not the Intercontinental Champion, going up against Otis, then what are we doing here? Like, why, what's the purpose of this story? Plus, who does if this feud between Sammy and Gable is done with, there's no sixth and final match, who does Sami Zayn defend the title against next? Because I guess maybe Braun Breaker? Who's there next? Who is there next for Sami Zayn to feud with for this title? That's not Chad Gable on Raw. Nobody. There's nobody on Raw. So essentially, they should have pulled the trigger on Chad Gable, whether Otis helped him or not. So I don't know, man. It should be interesting to see what happens on Raw. I mean, Otis is likely to get dumped, and so is the rest of the Alpha Academy with Maxine and Akira Tozawa, because he didn't show up in this to assist in air quotes. But yeah, they're likely gonna get dumped by the Creed Brothers. But I just feel like a little bit more effective had Chad Gable finally captured the Intercontinental Championship. But Sami Zayn is your winner of this match. So moving on, we had the WWE Women's Champion Bayley take on Scotland's own Piper Niven. Just like with the Women's Tag Team title match, not a whole lot of setup for this one, as Chelsea Green, I can't do that Samantha Irvin thing, but anyway, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven confronted Bayley over her endorsement of Women's Tag Team Champion, now former Women's Tag Team Champion, Jade Cargill, in the then ongoing Queen of the Wing tournament last month. And then 2 weeks later, Bayley beat Chelsea Green in a non-title match, but was attacked by Piper to officially kickstart their build to their match at Clash of the Castle. So Niven and Green beat Bayley and Naomi the next week on SmackDown, and that's how a women's title match for this show was made. So as part of the build of the build 2, Niven cut this promo where she brought up her career upbringing and how this match meant the world to her. You know, one of those I work hard promos and I deserve this title match kind of things. But pretty much Bayley reaffirmed that she'd still walk away from Piper's home country as still your champion. So, you know, kind of your basic song and dance kind of title matches. So, yeah. Anyway, this match was okay. I mean, probably the second worst match of the night besides the women's tag team title match. But anyway, the Chelsea Green shenanigans were kind of funny. She was ejected very early on in the match. She tried to run interference, but Bayley stomped on her hand. And Chelsea tried to complain to Charles Robinson, the referee, that Bayley hit her. But she touched Charles Robinson because she wasn't getting her way, or Charles Robinson wasn't understanding her case. So Charles Robinson threw her ass out. So this match was basically whatever. And midway through the match, Bayley hit a second rope Bayley to belly suplex on Piper. I would have won it, but we got another interference of delay thanks to Nacho Green, Chelsea Mysterio, whatever you want to call her. A masked Chelsea Green came out to cause a distraction yet again. So Bayley took out the masked Chelsea, but fell victim to Piper's finisher, the Piper Driver, for a near fall. Piper looked to finish off Bayley for good, but Bayley used a crucifix driver because apparently the other story of this match was Piper Niven was too big to use Bayley's finisher, the Rose Plant, on. So Bayley got a little creative, I guess, and used a crucifix driver pin to keep her women's championship. I mean, the match was it was whatever, but it gave Piper the home country love. I mean, I don't expect much of this to translate over back to the United States. But something that might translate over was Chelsea Green's backfired interference, and whether that could lead to some sort of friendship is betrayal kind of story between the two former tag team champions in the near future. We'll see. But for now, Bayley remains the women's champion, as she probably going to start building up her feud with Nia Jax to SummerSlam. So now let's talk about your main event. The World Heavyweight Champion Damien Priest going up against, once again, in the main event of Clash of the Castle, Scotland's own Drew McIntyre. Drew Mac, once again back in the main event picture of Clash of the Castle, but unlike in 2022, this time around, he has actual home country advantage. He is back in his hometown of Glasgow, Scotland. And, oh boy, would fortunes change this time around? We'll see. We will see, because he wants that moment bad. He won the World Heavyweight Championship back at WrestleMania, finally had his moment in front, his crowning, defining, magic moment in front of the fans, but he got a little too greedy. He gloated too much. His head was so far up his own ass to gloat in front of his most hated rival, CM Punk. And he paid for it. He paid the price for it, got jumped by him, and that allowed Damien Priest of the Judgment Day to take advantage and cash in his Money in the Bank contract and stole the title like a thief in the night. So Drew McIntyre was pissed. He took a little time off, though, to recover from an elbow injury. But once he came back, Damien Priest gave him a rematch for the title in Drew's home country. So Drew ensured, for the time being, a fair fight 5 days prior on Raw by bringing Finn Balor to ensure that Judgment Day would not get involved at all in this match. It's going to be a clean, fair fight. But surely when that happens, no, nothing is going to be fair in this one. Just look at 2022, for example, when Drew took out the Bloodline, and Paul Heyman was not around because, Brock Lesnar took him out in that last man standing match a month prior. And we all knew Hoodie Sikoa made his presence felt. So, yeah, we all knew shenanigans were going to be abound for this matchup. But was it going to be the most obvious shenanigan, though? Because there were a couple things to keep in mind for this matchup going into this pay-per-view. Because I know everyone was thinking, oh, a certain Chicago-made man would show up and cost Drew the matchup. But I actually had other scenarios in mind besides that, because, it's the most obvious one. But maybe someone like Carlito, who's not a part of the Judgment Day, could play a role. Like, maybe run a little failed interference. But, that would have been a little stupid. But then, what about Liv Morgan, the women's world champion? She's on her own mission like a super technician. Maybe either assist or cost Damien Priest his World Heavyweight Championship, because she has her own master plan of fucking with Rhea Ripley, destroying the Judgment Day from the inside. So, does she take a cross-country, cross-globe flight all the way to Scotland just to fuck with both Damien Priest and Rhea Ripley? So, some things that you had to consider besides, the certain Chicago-made man that was probably gonna fuck Drew up the ass again. But interesting thought going to this one. But anyway, let's talk about this match. Besides, the pending factors. So there was a special entrance for Drew McIntyre in his home country, as the fans in the OVO gave him a rousing ovation, a home welcome to their home man. While, of course, Damien Priest got that, that large boos from the fans. He was unfazed, though. He was clearly unfazed, clearly learning from the backlash Puerto Rico crowd. And yeah, he was clearly unfazed by it. But man, there was a scary moment in this match. A really scary moment in this match where Damien Priest botched really badly on a springboard move. He's going to go for a springboard flip, but he got his right ankle trapped on the ropes, which really affected the flow of this match. But credit to Drew and the referee for getting him out quick. Drew acted quick by stomping, kicking Damien while he was trapped on the ropes. But man, that was a very scary moment. And I'm just glad that apparently right now what they're saying is that Damien Priest didn't suffer any serious injuries. He's apparently okay. That's for right now, as I'm recording this. But I'm just glad he's okay. So they pulled through the match. Damien Priest is pulling through like a trooper. He's hitting all these kicks, and he's doing all his power moves, as if he didn't get hurt, and he's trying to not struggle. Later on in the match, McIntyre tried to hit Priest with the Claymore, but Priest rolled out of the ring. So Drew decides to hit Priest with the Claymore to send him through the barricade. And yeah, it breaks. So once he gets back in the ring, Priest hits McIntyre with the South of Heaven choke slam. He counters the Claymore for a near fall. And then we get towards this point in the match where we have a ref bump. Just like at Clash of the Castle 2022, with the ref bump with Roman and Drew, we have a ref bump here with Drew and Damien. So the ref injures his hammy trying to avoid contact with Drew and Damien. But then he gets knocked off the apron anyway by Damien accidentally. So Priest tried to go for the South of Heaven again, but then you have Drew countering it into what should have been the winning Claymore. He calls for the referee. Get down here. Get down here. So he calls for the referee. But man, did he get one? Did he get one? And that was in the form of one CM Punk. Because you knew, you at least knew that referee with those red Nikes, and the camera angle in the hair. But if you didn't, there was a referee counting 1, 2, and then he stopped. He intentionally stopped. And then when Drew saw his eyes and the camera panned, it was CM Junk. So once again, CM Punk being trying to do his best nomination for Player Hater of the Year. Drew's grudge once again got the best of him. So he tried to choke him out. He tried to get physical with him, but Punk dick kicked him. And once again, Punk fucked him over. So Priest took advantage with one last South of Heaven chokeslam to retain his World Heavyweight Championship. So man, crazy turn of events in the last stages of this match. And it really got people pissed off. Like, really got people in their feelings. But let me say this first. This match could have really went downhill fast. Once Priest had that scary botch with his leg trapped in the ropes. And again, I'm just glad that he didn't suffer anything worse than that, apparently, from what I read online, from the sheets, from the sources I saw online. I hope that stays the case as we head into Raw. But yeah, again, I'm just glad that he didn't suffer anything worse, because that would have been bad. That would have been really bad going forward. Like, again, Damien Priest is not the most exciting champion, but I mean, he's not one of the worst. He's not one of the worst world champions we've seen. But anyway, he soldiered on. He was a soldier in this match, as if, again, not a lot affected him. So props to him and Drew for carrying on with this match despite Damien trying to power through with that ankle injury. But yeah, again, with that ending, that really had a lot of people torn. And let me just say this, I know I'm sidetracking a lot. CM Punk, with the angle that the camera crew had, him running down the ramp, they really made it really good with pointing up that camera all the way up, so you didn't know who the official was going to be. And then, yeah, with the camera behind Punk, like in a really good angle, they counted, and then you get the reveal, the slow reveal. That was really good production work. Really good production work by WWE. But then, yeah, now let's get to the ending. It really had me torn. Because, in short, Drew should have won. In spite of Punk. Maybe Punk could have tried to cost him, but he failed. And then that's when you have your World Heavyweight Championship food going into the rest of the year. But I feel like they didn't book Drew to win, because there were just too many other factors, too many other story elements at play beyond just Drew and CM Punk for Triple H and the creative team to consider. And for as harsh as I am to Triple H and his booking decisions, I feel like this is one that I kind of have to defend here a little bit, because Drew versus CM Punk is like one of those blood feuds that doesn't need the title. I mean, it greatly enhanced the feud, just like it did like with that 1 month feud with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, like with Survivor Series and Armageddon, which I feel like should have been a longer feud than that with the title. Well, nonetheless, I just feel like Drew versus Punk doesn't. I feel like, especially with Punk's Punk's age and his injury history, like very recently in the last 2 years, it doesn't need the title. It really does not need the title, especially this soon when all they've been doing is just yapping so far, like really good yapping. So I feel like it should just be a blood feud, a grudge feud against each other. They like really hate each other. Like, and then if you want to add the title later on, by all means, do it. Plus, you also had Gunther, the King of the Ring winner last month, and he still has a guaranteed title shot at SummerSlam. So how are you gonna get Gunther versus whoever when you still had Drew versus Punk in the pipeline? So yeah, Gunther versus Priest isn't the most appealing option for SummerSlam, but again, that's what happens when you give him that title shot. Like, you kind of backed yourself into the corner with that one. And then last but not least, where would he have gone with the Damien Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan story with a whole Liv trying to destroy Judgment Day thing had Priest lost the title? I mean, I don't know if it would have been as effective if he lost the title. Maybe they kick him out like right away, but I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't have been as effective like if he lost the title right then and there. So in essence, WWE backed themselves into a corner, knowing they still had future plans like Gunther in the works, like for SummerSlam. And yeah, I do think that not strapping Drew is kind of a mistake. Like, he's gone through a lot. He's gone through enough, like winning the title in front of nobody, the WWE title in front of nobody, and then he's gone through three heartbreaking moments now. Like, that Clash of the Castle, the first one, and then winning the title, but then getting cashed in on, and then now this. It was rough. It's really rough. Like, at some point in time, just like, with the Chad Gable stuff and the Liv Morgan stuff that I talked about earlier, it's like, you got to wonder, at one point in time, it's like, once you get past the CM Punk stuff, what point in time do you finally give Drew McIntyre the strap? Like, give him a proper championship run that, he should have earned. He should have earned by now. But I mean, I get it. They want to get they want to get through this feud, and hopefully revisit Drew McIntyre. Finally gain that run. Finally gain that championship moment. But right now, I feel like there's just too many things going on with that WWE backed themselves into a corner to. And I feel like they do that way too often. Triple H has to simplify things, So overall, with Clash of the Castle 2024, not a bad show by any means. I say the worst matches of the show were the women's matches, and that's not me being the S word. It's just that they with the women's title match, not really my cup of tea. It wasn't really interested by that. And then the women's tag team title match was really messy. It was really messy from that department. And going back to the overall show, two major booking decisions. It's just like it's the thing that everyone's gonna be talking about for the next couple weeks. So Triple H has to address that going to Money in the Bank, and now especially going to SummerSlam, your second biggest show of the year. So Triple H and his creative team need to address the following: if Chad Gable's going to get another chance at the IC title, why does he deserve it? Especially if you're going to put him up with the Creed brothers. Why did Drew McIntyre lose in his home country again? Is Damien Priest's injury, if it's not as severe at all, like we believe it to be, and if it ends up being as severe as it is it gonna, whether or not it is, let's put it at that, is it gonna affect this Judgment Day, Liv, Dominic, the overall Judgment Day story that they got going on Raw? Is it gonna affect that? And is it gonna affect the SummerSlam match with Gunther? And then over on SmackDown, Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline 2.0, can they be booked as a threatening force to the three top faces over there with Cody, Randy, and Kevin Owens? I still think they're going for a 6-man tag at that Money in the Bank show in 2.5 weeks. And then lastly, I hope Jade Cargill can bounce back from a very rough pay-per-view performance. Again, still has time, but if there's planning anything major for her, like as in terms of a singles run, way too early for that. But anyway, overall, again, Clash of the Castle, not a big show, but Triple H and his team, they have to address a lot of things, like I said, in these next coming weeks with Money in the Bank and SummerSlam just around the corner. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this pay-per-view, Clash of the Castle 2024, in the comments below on YouTube and on social media on X and Instagram. Send me a DM with your takes, your talks, whichever you want to do, and we can start a conversation about it. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about the 2024 edition of Clash at the Castle. But anyway, that is it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna, episode number 201 of this icy yet spicy sports podcast. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. Until the next one, peace out.